What's going on? I want to talk here about historical examples of militant homosexuality. And I'm not bashing homosexuals here. This is just historical applications of homosexuality and how they were used in a military sense and multiple different references here that I can think of off the top. You might have to do some of your own research. When I speak on these things, you might have to Google, you might have to look up some source documents. But look, everything I regurgitate is from, I heard it from some, listen, speculation is speculation, opinion's opinion, fact is fact. You know what I'm saying? Or at least you could say it's historically documented, and that's not even necessarily a fact. But it's a source that you can get, you know what I'm saying? You can get some insight to a situation. So, okay, I'm going to go to this. In Greece, there was a time when they almost had all of it. Was Alexander the Great's father. He almost had all of Greece conquered and unified, but there was the last people that he could not defeat was a tribe of men, all men that lived in the mountains, and they were all gay lovers, and they fought ferociously. And what is his name? Something man of Macedonia. Can't remember. He couldn't defeat these guys. You know what I'm saying? And that's and it's documented that it was a whole tribe of gay warriors. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of that over there in that culture. You got Da Vinci in them. I mean, it's come to find out. I mean, I'm not sure if you know how widespread this was, but it seems like there was like back in the day, in order for you to be trained to be a trade or be schooled in school, you had to get apprenticed, and there was in order to this is how a lot of young boys paid for their education was rape. They got raped, and it's part of their initiation process. They're breaking down their mind control, their trauma based disassociation, and they've been doing it forever. But basically, you know, they'd be raped until they graduated, and now they can become the master and take their own apprentice, and then they carry on the same tradition. You know what I'm saying? Where now the next apprentice has to pay for his education through sexual bisexual means. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty nasty. But it seems like that's pretty relevant, man, and it's pretty crazy. It's like you see the ritual, the Illuminati ritual. It's like why do the men always have to do some role in a movie where they put on a dress? Well, you got two reasons for that. One, because the actors, that's part of the Actors Guild, and they are a guild and a secret society, a brotherhood, a fraternity. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they throw up their hand signs all the time, because they're into it too, because they're part of it. You know what I'm saying? So basically, the women. One of the ways you get your cred up as an actor back in ancient medieval times is that women dressed as men and try to fake their identity. You see it in movies like there's a movie about a pirate ship. The girl's in there, but they think it's a boy because she's, you know what I mean. So they did this common way back in the day because you get away with it because there wasn't no social security numbers, no microchips. No one knew no one from nothing. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of identity theft and impersonations and straight up made up identities back then. But where this comes from is that in Sodom and Gomorrah, what it said about Sodom and Gomorrah is like, for one, if you accidentally got lost out in the desert and you wound up in their city, you might end up in the middle of a rape party. You know what I'm saying? Or they might just watch you starve and starve to death. You know what I'm saying? That was their entertainment, was rape and watching people suffer that were that weren't members of their city. But This is something I heard. I think it's on. There's a program called Biblical Watching. It's by the Biblical Research Institute. It's on YouTube. Very good. Couple hour little information thing there. But it talked about how in Sodom and Gomorrah, how there was a technique where the men, they would all dress themselves in women's clothing, and they would walk up to people all prissy, with your with that, how they always, that's the sign that someone's especially for men, when a man is, when he likes men, that's the sign. But these guys would come walking up like this, you know what I'm saying? In their woman's clothes, and then when they would get real close to an enemy, they would all rip off their clothes, and it would be soldiers under there, and then they would go kill, rape, whatever, the persons that they were trying to lie in wait for, because that's exactly what that is. That is a very cunning lying in wait. It does say in the Bible it's an abomination for a man to wear women's clothing, and I think this is one of the reasons for it, because this is before that was even wrote about man shall not wear man's clothing, because they were doing this in Sodom and Gomorrah before that was wrote. They were the dudes would go dress up as women, and they would get close enough to people, and they would all rip off their dresses and their wigs, and they would go and have their way with people. So I mean, that's a form of militant homosexuality. These are two examples of militant homosexuality. I'm pretty sure you got people like Nero, the person who Nero, his name was Little Boots, and the person, he was like basically one of those little bitch apprentices of the previous ruler. And this ruler, he had little boys in his pool, and they would all swim in there. And he said they would nip at him like minnows under the water. That was who he'd make them do. A bunch of little naked boys would swim around this emperor in the water, and they would nip at his lower half while he was in the pool. And then when he got tired of playing with his toys, he would throw these boys off the mountain. I mean, like someone told me that you seen these pictures back in the like 1800s, and it was the old dude with the pitchfork, and then it would show some pictures that have a woman next to him, but some would have a little boy, and that was a code for those little boys were like apprentices as well. They were just little objects for these people's sick desires. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot more common than you would think. Things like this. And anyway, then you know how Nero grows up and he becomes militant homosexual. Like basically before he got betrayed, when his men lost respect for him, he let himself get ravaged at a big feast where he had all his generals sitting there at the feast too, and it was like after that they lost respect for him, because that's just what happens when you let go of yourself and you just, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these things do lead to deep psychological madness. It leads to madness. Like I was just watching an Unplug 'em video, and it was like pimping and macking something to that effect. And it was showing this dude like in a different country, this African in prison, and how their whole system is militant homosexuals. But they won't even like, you ask the dude, and they're like, "Are you a homosexual?" The guy who rapes people, and he's admitting it. He's like, "No, I'm not a homosexual. The people I rape are homosexual. I'm straight." But yet, if the guy doesn't perform homosexually for the guy, they kill him. You know what I'm saying? So this is a form of aggressive, militant homosexuality. And this was in Africa or something, but the same thing goes on here in America. So it's like, look, it's poison, man. When you send straight people into jail, and they do all these acts feeling they're straight. They rationalize it in their mind. They don't even realize like prison is straight Sodom and Gomorrah. And then these guys get out of prison and they come out into society with these desires that they picked up living in a militant homosexual community. That's not homosexual. Only the people that they can overpower and take, that's gay. But us overtaking you are not gay. So, I can see these things, how it twists the mind. You know what I'm saying? These are militant homosexual aggressive agendas, man. And this is not commonly known that there's a book. It's called The Pink Swastika. I haven't had the chance to read it yet, but I've heard it referenced enough, and then I got the basic gist of it. And then looking at things like the Nero thing, the tribe of all men, warriors in Greece, the Sodomites in from Sodom and Gomorrah that dressed as women. I mean, that's an ancient tactic of ambush. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense. You know, I mean, how that works there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, plus if someone's masquerading as something, you know, I mean, it's already, you know, it's like in a way you're lying. You know what I'm saying? It's not honest. It's not being straightforward. But anyway, the pink swastika was like basically that all the inner circle of the Nazi party, the Vril Society and all that, these guys were into that crazy sex magic, and they were into anything go-isms, all loving on the men, you know what I'm saying? But once they got in power and they used these, you know, these weird loose gay circles to spread their ideas and kind of nest and incubate and perfect their ideologies. You know what I'm saying? But then once they came in power, they had to clean up the tracks. Because, I mean, it's just like Nero. You can't have all your generals knowing the truth about you. Though you might be a militant, strategic commander type. Like Alexander the Great was supposedly a double sexual like that. So, you know, just because you're homosexual doesn't mean you are not militant. And you might not be manly. You know what I'm saying? And cunning. And maybe even more so than regular people. You know what I'm saying? Because they have different minds. They see things that we do not. They see things in a way that is different from other people. You know what I'm saying? That's why when, you know, like, I don't understand how people have the gaydar. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, you know, because I don't look at people like that. You know what I'm saying? So it goes by me unnoticed. I mean, unless you're really pushing the gay, I won't even know that you're gay. You know what I'm saying? I mean, now I recognize it better because in this day we live, it's becoming more out in the open. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but right now it's tolerable because they're not doing that Sodom and Gomorrah thing where they're dressing up as a bunch of women. So like, look, enticing in a straight man, like, wow, look at all these available chicks. There's no guy around. Then all of a sudden they rip off their clothes and it's a bunch of men waiting to ravish you. You know, or ravage you. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy. But I mean, this stuff really happened. And they use it as a political platform and a military platform. And people don't take this into consideration because there's this stigma here in America that every guy wears pink, is afraid to break a nail, and is feminine. But I mean, there's also a very masculine, violent, predatory, militant version of this homosexuality that I don't think people are really recognizing, even though they show it in movies like that movie where Friday After Next, you know, where the dude comes out of prison and he doesn't want none of the women. He's looking at the pimp like he wants him. You know, so we know about this stuff. Or like that movie Drinking Your Juice in the Hood, where the dude's he's got out of jail. He's like in the institutional mindset, and he keeps looking at guys and he keeps like making these passes at them. But then he like catches himself, like he has a split personality, and then, you know, he flips for a second, and then he comes back and acts normal. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so that's exactly what's going on here. It's like, look, we live in a society that it's normalized, so we don't even recognize it, that you might even be one, you know what I'm saying, unaware. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the guy in prison. I'm not gay, he's gay. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot more common than you would think. I mean, it's just it's crazy, man. It's crazy to even have to know all this stuff and think about it. You know what I'm saying? And contemplate why, where, how, when, who. You know what I'm saying? So this stuff it's crazy. It's crazy times, man, and the information that you got to look into is even crazier.